This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 4th day of March in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here is what we're tracking tonight. The Guyana Elections Commission met late this afternoon and made a decision to verify the statements of poll from Region 4 for entry into its tabulation system. A spreadsheet system was being used previously, but that process was stopped as some differences in numbers popped up. Party agents, along with candidates and observers, met with the Elections Commission officials, and that led to the decision by GCOM to use just the statements of poll. Chief Elections Officer Kit Lowenfield said that with the returning officer not in place due to him falling ill, the verification process was restarted this afternoon around 2 o'clock, and it was during that verification that some issues were discovered.
The clerk to the returning officer was advised to continue the process. The process of verification commenced in earnest at probably 2, I can't recall the exact timing. And during the process, some errors were discerned. We would have completed the first 8 statements, and there were some errors contained in 6 of the 8, for example, statements. The representatives of the party, along with the observers, spoke with me. We stopped the process. I inquired what is. I was advised, and I advised my staff, along with the agents and the observers, that I'll engage the commission, Madam Chair and commissioners, as to the way forward. That was done.
Mr. Lowenfield also said the decision was made that they would go through the verification process statement by statement.
And we agreed at the end of the day, of the evening, that we will do the verification using statements to statements. So I take out my statement, you bring your statement, we go through the numbers on the statements. There continues to be errors. There is a procedure as prescribed for us to do that. If at the end of the day that doesn't work, the CEO will be involved with his statement to have a resolution to the issue.
APNU-AFC representative Minister Basil Williams said the APNU-AFC coalition did not object to the process being done by statements.
No, but listen, the spreadsheet was something that was inherited from their time. They used to verify with spreadsheets. Now they don't want spreadsheets, they want to use statement of polls. We have no objection, just let's get it over with.
But are you saying that the spreadsheet is authentic and it's commensurate with what's in the statement of polls?
It's GCOM's document. GCOM under the law could regulate its own procedure. So GCOM could decide it wants to use spreadsheet. But GCOM has agreed to use the statement of polls.
PPP General Secretary Barra Jagdeo said he is satisfied with the decision coming out of the Commission.
And they agreed to go back to the process they were using, where they go using all the statements of poll. And that they will put up a screen now to see that the information from the statement of poll is properly reflected or inputted. And then when they finish sub-districts like Georgetown, they will print it out, give all with a total, and give it to all the political parties for reconciliation, so they would know if there is any difference in the parties' numbers.
And members of the diplomatic community also spoke to the media, and they said now that the process is moving forward, GCOM should be allowed to do its work, and citizens should be patient.
The important thing now, Nazim, is we now have a way forward that all of the parties, all of the commissions agreed to, and that's what they're now going to do.
And this agreement has to do with recounting statements of polls.
It's to do with counting statements of polls, yeah.
Did you feel that there was something wrong with the spreadsheet in the first place? You have observers.
I didn't see this. I didn't see the spreadsheet. We didn't see the spreadsheet. The important thing now is we now have a way forward that everybody is happy with.
The situation's been resolved, and they're starting the retabulation right now.
All the timeline, everything hangs on the timeline. Has this been impressed on the Commission?
Well, I think everybody knows that everybody wants a decision as quickly and as soon as possible. But the important thing, as I said yesterday, was they need to have accurate and credible results. And so going to the SOPs and doing that is the way forward.
The results of Region 4 and 7 are the only outstanding results. The returning officers for the various regions have been declaring their results, and those results show the PPP ahead without the results from Region 7 and 4. Region 4 is the largest region with the most voters. Leader of the Liberty and Justice Party, Lennox Schumann, said the Elections Commission must be allowed to do its work, and citizens need to understand that.
It is now, but the process is not concluded yet. We're hopeful that what comes out of tonight, once again, is integrity. And I've said this multiple times. I'd rather have results that have the integrity, and I will sacrifice experience for integrity any day. Because if we don't get that, what is going to happen is that we'll end up in courts for a long drawn-out process, which would not satisfy the country, and I'm sure it would not satisfy the political parties.
The Guyana Elections Commission has indicated that its staff will work throughout the night to tabulate the information from all the statements of poll. The declarations from Regions 4 and 7 are likely to be made known by tomorrow. More news coming up in just a moment.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guyana Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
They've made a positive impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
Tired of long lines? Register with MyGTT at mygtt.co.gy. That's mygtt.co.gy to view and pay your bills from anywhere. Enter to win an Amazon gift card worth $25 or a bounty voucher worth 5,000 Guyana dollars when you sign up today. GTT, do more.
Welcome back. Let's tell you that the returning officer for Region 4, Claremont Mingo, is resting at home this evening after being released from the hospital. He was rushed to the hospital this morning after he complained of feeling unwell during the processing of information from the statements of poll. The Guyana Elections Commission has indicated that it will offer more information on Mr. Mingo as that information becomes available. Last evening, the same returning officer brought the process to an end at around 9 p.m., claiming he was tired. The returning officer is tasked with gathering the statements of polls from the regions and processing that information so that a declaration could be made and the information could be forwarded to the GCOM headquarters. Region 4 has the largest number of voters and the most polling stations. As the wait continues for the release of the official results from Monday's elections, the European Union Observer Mission today expressed its concern over the lack of legislation to address campaign financing in Guyana. At a press conference this morning, the head of the EU Observer Mission, Umar Spayat, said it was observed that there was no transparency from political parties, especially the two major parties, about the financiers of their campaigns.
The legal framework does not provide for transparency and accountability in political party and campaign finance. The campaign demonstrated that UPNO, AFC and PPPC have significant funds at their disposal, unmatched by any other party. GCOM does not assume its oversight responsibility to monitor campaign finance.
The chief observer also noted that generally outside of that particular issue, the elections were competitive, and he noted that some of their main concerns outside of campaigning financing were issues related to the state media and legal uncertainty and lack of transparency in the administration of elections. The team also noted that they observed that the voting process was well managed and the electors were able to vote freely and exercise their democratic right to vote at the general and regional elections.
We say clearly that the elections were competitive. Contestants could campaign freely and election day was well managed by the election administration.
The head of the EU mission also said he was pleased with the number of young people who took part in the elections.
I was really glad to see during all the election day how many young people went to vote. I guess it is of course important that also in your country young generation has active role in society and in your political and society development.
The EU noted that in 3 months they will return with an official report of the elections, to which they will detail their recommendations for future elections. That official report will also include more detailed suggestions about GCOM's tabulating mechanism that is largely manual. Well, the co-head of the Carter Center Observer Mission, former Prime Minister of Senegal, Aminata Touré, issued a call today on the political parties to desist from declaring victory until GCOM announces the results of the elections.
I do believe that everybody should refrain from declaring any results. There is by the Constitution a body that is there for that. It is called the Guyanese Election Commissions. By law, that's the only body that by law should be declaring results. So we appeal to both political parties and their leaders to refrain from declaring any result if they want to do justice and support democracy in Guyana.
The Carter Center team confirmed that since the elections, it has held meetings with President David Granger and the presidential candidate for the People's Progressive Party, Irfan Ali. According to the center, during the separate meetings, the leaders were urged to accept the results of the elections.
We met both candidates, but not only them. We met with other candidates throughout the days we spent here in Guyana. We met with civil society, we met with young people, which is the usual methodology that we apply in countries where we go for observations. So, but mostly we convey exactly the message that I shared with you here. Both of them, we told them that we recommend highly that they refrain from announcing results until the Guyanese Election Commission does so. So that was very, very clear as a position of the Carter Center.
Meanwhile, in its preliminary report, the Carter Center said it was concerned about the presence of political party representatives with campaign material close to some polling stations in some areas.
In some areas, particularly Region 4, the Carter Center observed the presence of campaigning and campaign material within 200 yards limit of polling stations. In addition, observers of the Carter Center noted the presence of information desks operated by the two major political parties in Region 4, 7, 9, and 10, particularly in Georgetown. The Carter Center heard some complaint in Georgetown regarding the presence of the stand within 200 yards of polling station.
Some of the other major findings in the initial report address the electoral administration of GCOM and the appointment of commissioners. The center would like the political parties in Guyana to revisit the structure of the commission and how commissioners are chosen. With the Guyana Elections Commission still to release official results, the Carter Center is encouraging patience this evening. Still with the observer missions, the Commonwealth Observer Group has presented its preliminary report on the 2020 general and regional elections in Guyana. And the observer mission, which was headed by former Prime Minister of Barbados Owen Arthur, wants the Guyana Elections Commission to look keenly at the recommendations being presented by the various observer groups and take those recommendations on board for future elections.
Ideally, there should be some form of domestic mechanism in place in each member country to review the conduct of an election and to take forward prospective reforms as required. End of quote. In this context, we encourage Guyana to create such a domestic mechanism to consider electoral and constitutional reforms, including the merits and demerits of the structure of the Guyana Electoral Commission and the electoral system itself. Electoral reform is a continuous process building on what has worked successfully and addressing weaknesses.
The Commonwealth Observer Group chief said Guyana, as a member of the Commonwealth, must know that the recommendations that will be put forward, once taken on board, could assist in improving the electoral process in the future.
When Commonwealth heads met in London in 2018 and endorsed the revised Commonwealth guidelines for the conduct of election observation in member countries, they noted that, quote, Commonwealth election observation has greater impact and value when recommendations offered by a Commonwealth Observer Group and other observers are addressed so as to reduce the risk of shortcomings in future elections.
The Commonwealth Observer Mission has been in Guyana for just over a week and traversed several regions as part of observing the process before, during, and after the elections. In the courts right now, former Chief of Staff of the Guyana Defense Force, retired Rear Admiral Gary Best, was today charged for allegedly causing the death of cyclist Jude Bentley by dangerous driving. And he was also charged for driving under the influence of alcohol. Best appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court alongside his attorney Nigel Hughes. He was not required to enter a plea to the charge of causing death. He was granted bail in the sum of $500,000 and ordered to return to court on the 17th of March. According to the police charge sheet, on the 8th of February at Clive Lloyd Drive, Best drove motorcar PRR 8128 in a manner dangerous to the public, causing the death of Bentley. The police prosecutor objected to bail because of the seriousness of the charge. However, attorney Nigel Hughes, who is representing Mr. Best, said he can vouch for his client and he is no flight risk and has been a man of distinction throughout his life and military career. The magistrate granted bail and Best was led away from the courtroom in handcuffs to the waiting area for his bail to be paid. He also appeared in a separate courtroom to answer the charge of driving under the influence of alcohol. He was granted self-bail in that matter.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Falls, a trademark of China's Zhanghao Incorporated, located at Land of Canaan, East Bank, Demerara, was incorporated in April of 2013 with over $10 billion Guyana dollars invested in a state-of-the-art 100,000 barrel fuel storage facility, a modern service station, an office complex, and a modern wharf that can berth international vessels. Having no association with any other fuel company, Falls imports its own fuel, which meets quality specifications, has all the legal permits, and is in compliance with international requirements. Its bulk facility can load 8 trucks simultaneously at a rate of 1,000 liters per minute, while the service station can service 12 cars at a time using computerized fuel pumps, which can facilitate the use of ATM cards. Through its professional team of mostly Guyanese, Falls wholesales and retails fuels to the public, including farmers and miners, and will continue to positively contribute to Guyana by providing quality products, service, and attractive prices. Try Falls today for all your fuel needs.
Across the region right now, former Bahamas ambassador to China and Free National Movement Senator Elma Campbell and her son, attorney Shay Chase, were charged in a magistrate's court with defrauding the Ministry of Tourism of $1.2 million. The 64-year-old Campbell and her 37-year-old son pleaded not guilty when they made their initial appearance before the chief magistrate. Prosecutors allege that the pair falsely obtained the money from the Royal Bank of Canada. Chase was also charged with possession of a forged document and uttering a forged document. Prosecutors allege that he cashed a forged $1.2 million Ministry of Tourism check that was payable to Campbell Chase Law on the 6th of September 2019. The mother and son were also charged with more than a dozen money laundering charges. Over in Venezuela, the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is urging women to have more children for the good of the country. Appearing at a televised event promoting a national women's health care plan, Mr. Maduro instructed women to just give birth. The country is facing an economic crisis, which has resulted in severe food and medicine shortages. Between 2013 and 2018, 13% of Venezuelan children were malnourished, according to the UN Children's Agency, UNICEF. A bitter power struggle between the government and the opposition has worsened the country's trials. The opposition leader Juan Guaido is considered the legitimate leader of Venezuela by more than 50 countries. But President Nicolas Maduro, the country's left-wing leader, who enjoys the support of the Venezuelan military, has remained in power. And finally tonight, international news. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence has said that any American can be tested for the coronavirus if ordered by a doctor, as the country's death toll rises to 9. Mr. Pence, tapped by Donald Trump to lead the U.S. outbreak response, also said that the White House will begin on-camera briefings on the virus. Some health officials have cast doubts in the government's response, asking how they could accelerate testing. The cases are scattered across the country, with concentrations in Washington State, California, Texas, and Nebraska. As the U.S. outbreak spreads, Mr. Pence said the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention would lift existing restrictions on tests and provide new guidelines for speeding up exams for those who fear they might be infected. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.